Welcome to the Home Downsizing Show. My name is Ben Souchek, your host and the owner and founder of Home Downsizing Solutions. With the Home Downsizing Show, I want to provide you the information and resources to make the downsizing of your house stress and hassle-free. So sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you for joining us. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Home Downsizing Show. I am Ben Souchek, the owner and founder of Home Downsizing Solutions. And today, I'd like to go over a subject that is of concern to me and has been a concern for years in regards to finding a trusted home buying company. With the proliferation of so-called or self-called home buying companies or cash home buying companies, to me, it seems like it's a bigger and bigger problem. And this is my attempt to help educate people as to how to find a good cash home buying company, a real cash home buying company that you can actually trust to do what they say they can do. With technology, and again, this has been years in the making, really going back to maybe 2018, 2019, where being able to get a website set up is extremely easy. It's not expensive at all. It doesn't cost too much to start running advertisements in various forms, especially online, and basically having people proclaim, hey, I'm a cash home buyer, no matter where they're located. There are companies that are located thousands of miles away from where they are doing business that have no local presence and really no way to know what they're offering on a house. And so we'll get into some of those issues, some of those items to watch for if you are thinking about selling a house and want to engage with a cash home buying company to take advantage of the benefits that the real cash home buying companies can give you if you're wanting to sell the house. So let's start with 3 simple questions to prevent lowball offers on your house from a non-real cash home buying company. And this is taken from an article that I wrote recently as well. So, are you a homeowner that is considering selling a house to a cash home buyer, maybe a wholesaler, or one of those investor guys? Maybe your house does need some work and updates and have decided that it's just easier to sell it to a cash home buyer. But don't let an unscrupulous home buyer steal your house. This information, I think, is very important and something that could save you thousands or possibly tens of thousands of dollars from dealing with the wrong investor person or home buying company. And I'd like to share a few simple items to help you avoid getting lowball offers or not real offers on your house. So how to avoid a lowball offer on your house. Ask, are you going to take a look at my house? In the current market, there are not only local home buyers, but companies that are nationwide or basically advertise themselves as nationwide home buyers. They may be located in one geographic area and do business all over the country. They deploy marketing, run advertisements online, and basically they're all very similar, stating that they can buy your house, but in reality, this could be much different from the truth. With these companies, they will typically ask you if you come to an agreement with the numbers, which they can only do by online information. They will ask you to send them pictures of your house. And of course, that does sometimes have some legitimacy. But for the unscrupulous companies, they will use these pictures once they get an agreement with you to then advertise your house looking for an end buyer or the real buyer. They will delay closing until they can find someone that they can actually bring into the house. They typically will say that they need a 21 to 30-day closing at least in order to have their quote-unquote inspectors or contractors take a look at the house. This is simply a way to get their potential buyers into the house to see if they can find a real buyer. Sending them pictures might be a start, but it's not very adequate for a buyer or for a real buyer to make a buying decision. If a company makes an agreement with you as a seller based on pictures, just know that even if they did want to actually buy the property, typically they're going to have to send somebody in to physically inspect the property. If they haven't done that initially, just know that the number that they have told you that they could pay is most likely going to change and not in your favor. Some companies will make a practice of giving an offer that seems good, seems higher than maybe what some other people expect, and once they've looked at the house, they will tell the seller that they didn't realize that maybe the HVAC system was outdated, or maybe there were repairs that they didn't know or weren't aware of because of the pictures. So those numbers will change. Without having a person that actually goes and inspects the house right away, take a look at things, just know that the numbers may likely change. Also, it's important to have a person or a company that at least has a local presence, so that that local person knows the market. They're not surprised at some of the areas that you may be calling from, because every area is different. Without the company having a local presence of some type, they just don't really know what they're dealing with. You can look at all the numbers up online that a person wants to, but it's very difficult to get the nuances of some of the neighborhoods and subdivisions. Again, to recap, just ask the question, is your company going to be looking at the house to inspect before you make an offer on the house? A second question is, can you close in 7 days or less? If they're a real cash buyer, the only thing that stops a cash buyer from closing is having the title company check title and prepare closing paperwork. Typically, that can happen in 7 days or less. Unless it's at the very end of the month where title companies are very busy, or there's some other situation with the title company, a good company should have a good title company that can do that. As I mentioned earlier, some of the companies and wholesalers that are just looking to tie your property up will typically always want a 21-day or more inspection period, so they have time to market the property. What they won't tell you, in some way, get it to their buyers list and get their buyers in the house in some way to look at the house. Just know that whether you want to close that quickly or not, that is something you can ask them to ensure or to help with ensuring that you're dealing with a real home buying company. Again, as I mentioned, that inspection period, it is legitimate to have maybe a pest inspection or something small like that, or if there are major issues with foundations, then it's reasonable to expect a company to have a professional look at some of those things that maybe the company themselves are not an expert at. But just be aware that if your house is in relatively good shape, but it's just cosmetics that need to be updated, then that 21 or more day inspection period is typically a way for these companies to just wait on closing until they can find a real cash buyer to step in and close for them. Again, just ask the question, can you close in 7 days or less, and see what they say. How did you come up with your offer? A third question to ask them is when they do have an offer for you, ask them how they came up with the offer. Ask them to explain how they arrived at that number. Whether it sounds good or not, if you're considering accepting it, I would always ask them how they came up with their offer. They should be able to show you comparables so that they can show you what they're seeing for a market value for your area. They should also have some type of a worksheet. In our case, we show comparables, and we have a transaction worksheet that we lay out exactly how we start with what we think the house's value is if it was nice and fixed up. We take into account the transaction costs my company is going to incur when we buy, hold, and resell the house. And we take into account the repairs or updates that my company or anybody else is going to put into the house to get it into its nice condition, its after repaired value condition. We do all that we can to come up with a really thorough explanation to explain how we came up with those numbers. Someone should be able to explain that to you as well. Admittedly, some people don't always agree with our numbers, but at least they understand how we've been able to arrive at our numbers. And I think that's the most transparent, best way that my company, anyway, can provide that information. A bonus question for you is to ask if they provide multiple offers or solutions to sell your house. You can ask them if they provide multiple offers or multiple solutions to get your house sold. I personally think if a home buying company comes out and only says, the only thing we can do is buy your house for a low cash price, and you really need to just sell your house to a cash buyer, is not necessarily the best thing for you, the seller, sometimes. At the same time, if you have a real estate agent come out and say, really the best way that you should go is you should list your house on the market and you should not do anything else, you shouldn't talk to those investor guys. You shouldn't talk to those home buyer guys. They're just going to possibly rip you off if you're dealing with the wrong ones. But if you place value in the benefits that a cash home buying company offers, then they certainly can be a very viable, good alternative. But having one or two of those people, the agent or the home buyer, telling you that you have to go in one direction or the other, I don't think is always the best solution for you, the seller. That's why my company, Home Downsizing Solutions, offers multiple solutions. So if we're not the best solution for a home buyer, we can always refer someone to a good agent and vice versa. After 25 plus years, I run into more and more sellers that have been involved with the wrong type of company. Just because that company made them an offer that sounded great, had good phone selling skills, but unfortunately were not a good home buying company or a real home buying company. So I hope these few items, the few questions that we've gone over to ask a potential cash home buying company that you're working with will be a benefit to you if you are in that circumstance. If you have any questions about selling your house or the options that you have to sell your house, just call my office, toll free 855-291-5005, or go to homedownsizing.com. If you'd like a free copy of my book, Home Downsizing Secrets, just go, again, give our office a call, 855-291-5005, or homedownsizing.com. And thank you for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And as always, if we can be of any assistance, please give us a call. Thank you, and have a great week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home Downsizing Show. For additional information and resources on home downsizing, just go to homedownsizingblueprint.com. That's homedownsizingblueprint.com. Or if you're ready to sell your house and downsize, just go to homedownsizingsolutions.com. That's homedownsizingsolutions.com. And if you have ideas to improve our show or topics that you'd like us to cover, or have any questions that we can answer, just call our office, toll free, 855-291-5005. That's 855-291-5005. Thank you.